Papa Bear.
Hey, my name is Jennifer Katz. I'm the writer and director of 101 Ways.
And my name is Ike McFadden. I'm one of the many people who has the word producer in his credit.
I'm Scott Wyles, and I was the third grip.
And my name is Maya Rossi, and I was a costumer on the film.
A costumer, is that your official title now?
Yes, it is costumer.
Okay, that's everybody. That's who we are. This is the first scene of the movie, and it's been pointed out to me I should make a mention that this is a semi-autobiographical movie. That said, I'd like to say that I don't think this movie would ever have been made if I had not moved to Florida. And there's two people that are important to the move to Florida sitting in this room. Scott Wyles,
Third grip.
and Ike McFadden, co-producer, and I all went to NYU Film School together. Scott Wyles moved to Florida after we graduated, and he told me and Ike there were lots of opportunities.
He lied.
In production in South Florida. We moved down there. I ended up having to get a car. The car ended up being a Volvo. Later, I moved back up north, and the whole script was written based on that experience.
And basically, that's the scene that started it all.
That is the scene that started. We'll get back to that when we have like a longer cop scene. But that's how it all started. If it weren't for Scott, this movie might never have been made, basically.
So, Scott, thank you and your parents for doing what they did.
Yes.
To bring you along.
Thank you to Scott. Thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Wyles.
Scott, you're beautiful.
And the best Western.
And the best way, is that where you were conceived?
They conceived the idea of having sex in the Best Western, then they got a better hotel room.
Where's Ike's name?
Jennifer, do you want to talk about what this title sequence is about?
This title sequence is about, I think, moving from New York to Connecticut, but that's what I would say it's about. It's about kind of getting into Connecticut.
Did you want to point out that the leaves were falling off the trees at this point?
It's shot a little late in the season. The film takes place in summer, and this is fall, but I really don't think that anyone notices that.
Nope. No,
I was very happy with this footage. There's my title card, and the only important thing to say is that I like that it's a picture of swans in the mud. There was a drought when we were shooting 101 Ways, and it just seemed apropos that my name be birds in the mud.
Unfortunately, there was no swan shortage.
There was not a swan shortage at all. So here we are. It's the beginning of the movie. This is Watson sitting on the Volvo in a setting that was very much based on what I did with the short.
This is Wendy Hoopes.
This is Wendy Hoopes playing Watson. Huge role.
And Watson being the character that's based semi-autobiographically on you.
Semi-autobiographically on me, and you will have to guess in what parts it's more semi and what parts it's not semi.
Maybe you'll tell everyone.
Maybe I will. Maybe I won't.
Well, it was kind of based on,
I never sat on the hood of my car talking to anyone about the Volvo.
Oh, sure.
I never had a film crew follow me.
Let me also add that this location was the hardest location to find.
It was? Oh, that one?
Yeah.
Oh, to find, yes.
Welcome to Connecticut.
All right, cop scenes. Semi-autobiographical movie.
Wait, we have Ken Marino.
Ken Marino playing Officer Rosatelli, the young cop on the left. Sam Freed.
From the state.
If you recognize him, he dipped his balls in it.
On the right. And we have a scene here where cops visit Watson. This is based almost word for word on an incident where I was living in Florida and my mom sent a cop to convince me not to drive on the highways. You might think I was lying about that happening, except Scott Wyles, third grip, was there to witness it. Were you not, Scott?
I was.
And what did you think at the time?
I was like the first guest there, though, but I've worked my way down to third grip. I already knew that mothers can be very protective.
Mothers can be protective. This is Patricia Elliott, who many people know from One Life to Live, playing the part that is loosely based on my mother. But I'd like to say for the record that my mother does not have a houseboy. She doesn't live in a mansion. However, she does use the word attorney when necessary. There's Sam Freed.
Oh, and they're shooting. The mother's house is actually this gorgeous house that is maybe was a water tower. I'm not sure,
Yes.
but it's on the top of Oh, I shouldn't name the street. Never mind.
Well, that's okay. It's top of a hill. It's a very famous house in New Haven. There's a houseboy. See, my mother does not have a houseboy.
Yeah, but his name is I think Zach. And
Zach. He was one of our PAs.
Yeah.
He's filling in there. Beautiful house. Now coming up is kind of a riff on an ad for Volvo that started out in the short. And Wyatt Smith, our editor, kind of came up with this concept of faking the whole Volvo ad thing. And this always gets a really big laugh.
With the little credits there.
The little credits are great on screen.
I
Love
never
that.
laughed at that.
Now, your mother does have a squirrel.
A dead dog?
Doesn't she? Doesn't she have a squirrel that she keeps in her lap?
Absolutely not. My mom does not have pets. We've never had anything bigger than a hamster in our family.
Oh, okay. My mistake, sorry.
And mind you, it's so Connecticut where we shot.
Wait, that's
Watson's mother's supposed to live in Florida.
Sorry, that's the producer's dog.
That is the producer's dog.
Sorry, Florida. Sorry.
I don't know. Nobody says, it doesn't really look like Florida, but I don't think it really matters.
That thought never even occurred to me, actually, until you just mentioned it.
Really?
It's supposed to be in Florida.
Well, there you go. Now people will be watching thinking, it's true. It doesn't really look like Florida. This, I believe, was our first day of shooting. Does anyone remember?
Yeah.
Yes. Which was the hardest day of the shoot.
Now, what fine actress was this that only got the back of her head in the movie?
That is Peter Pamela Rose, a friend of mine now since we shot the film, and she was very good-natured about the fact that all we ended up using was the back of her head and her voice, playing Watson's demanding and bitchy boss.
Actually, that could have been a man.
Could have been
for all we see
anybody
in this
wearing
shot.
a wig.
Yes.
But she's naturally out of focus, and that's why we used her.
Yeah.
Very nice. I have to say, I really like this scene. I like seeing Watson coming home pooped from working her job. I think that a lot of people who are creative people can relate to the idea of coming home
Having your computer talk to you.
from a job and trying to work on the things that mean something to you, but really not feeling like it.
That actually brings up something that I've thought about a lot about this movie, which is the fact that people are always saying, oh, you've got to pursue my art, I have to be in X, I have to be Y, I have to be in LA, I have to be wherever. We shot this movie in New Haven, Connecticut. If we can make a movie in New Haven, you can make a movie anywhere.
And that is true, because it was not easy making a movie in New Haven,
So
Connecticut.
follow your dreams, even if you're living in Somalia.
Make your movie. This Funkadelic song is one of the only songs that I picked that actually made it into the final cut of the film. So I'm always really thrilled to hear it. And I love this line, I once had a life, but rather life had me, which I think really suits.
Is that a monkey song?
No, it's a Funkadelic song, but I think it suits Watson and how she's feeling in this moment.
No, we got a lot of free Budweiser.
We did.
From
This
didn't
whole movie seems to be about
Product placement
supporting
and-
Budweiser, but it's not. It just turned out. It seems the
we
label
got
is
cases, and we got cases
did.
of Budweiser.
We did.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mr. Weiser.
All right, coming up, this shot is how the script originally opens. In the feature script, this is the opening scene of the movie.
Can I say something about this?
Yes.
That it wasn't clear to me after, like in the beginning, that they were in awe because they were from New York City and grocery stores do not look like this in New York City. It took me a while before it was clear that that's why they were so
that's
in
true.
awe.
That D'Agostino reference is certainly not a reference that everybody
Now,
in the country gets.
we shot this scene in the middle of the night in a grocery store that was actually, surprisingly, we got a great grocery store for, like...
We did. ShopRite in West Haven.
And so,
And we started shooting this scene at 6 p.m. or so. The scene where they're actually in the produce department, which is a very pretty scene, I think. It was a Steadicam shot. I believe this was Sandy Hayes doing Steadicam for us that day. And I love how the scene looks. The only thing that's very funny about the scene is all the teenage girls that are walking around
With
melons and there's just an odd assortment of people looking for produce in this scene. People that you'd never really see in a produce department, but
we only had
was
so
what
and
our-
so extras,
yes.
so...
it was what our 80s had to work with, and they did the most
They're
of this. This is
great.
probably the most extras we ever had at any given time. I actually think one of the producers, her brother was there, and there's a troop of boys about to walk by wearing Hawaiian shirts, and that was her brother
And they're
and all
carrying,
of
like,
his
beer,
friends.
aren't they?
Yeah.
Under.
But everyone out there they are. But everyone else is just
They're
single people.
drinking beer.
Single people buying groceries. God bless them all.
They're not professional actors.
And again, we've got Wendy Hoopes playing Watson. This is really the beginning of Jaime Harrold as Ian.
Who's gone on to a lot of other great movies.
Jaime Harrold's everywhere. This is Glenn Fitzgerald. Great intro for Glenn. A music bit for Glenn playing Jack.
You may recognize him from films such as
Flirting with Disaster.
Thank you.
101 Ways.
That's right.
And
Wendy Hoopes is known as the voice of what?
a character on Daria.
MTV's Daria.
Yes,
Yes.
that is true.
Now we have the flags in the back because we were trying to do a little patriotic.
Did we really put those
No, I
flags
think
in the
it's
background?
random.
Okay. Then we have Catherine Miller playing Bagger Girl.
How did that punk rock hairstyle come up?
Oh, I played a part in that.
Tell us, Maya.
Well, I think I was getting along with I think it was
Marianne or Lori?
it was the second makeup woman that we had, or the second
Lorraine.
hair person, because we lost the first gentleman
Yes.
that was doing hair and makeup.
That is true.
And she let me get involved in Catherine's
I love
hairstyle.
Catherine's. Love how Bagger Girl looks.
Yeah, I used to, really dig that hairstyle.
Very cool hairstyle. Mind you, we shot, as Ike mentioned, the grocery store was nights. That means we started at 6 p.m., we wrapped at 6 a.m. So almost all of this stuff by the time we were at the cash registers, because we only could start shooting the cash registers once the store closed, was full on night stuff. So when you see these cutaways to the Bagger Girl, the light, which I think looked like total daylight, that's actually big HMIs outside the window, and
Movie magic.
the art department put big posters behind her so you couldn't tell that was a light behind her, and I actually think it's a very successful daylight effect.
I agree.
Funny picture there in the magazine. That was the art department.
What was it? I didn't
No,
know.
it was props, because
Props.
he's
Props
touching it.
department.
If you touch it, it's a prop.
Okay, this is what's known as the walking zombie shot. I think Jason Rubenstein, our first AD, called it the zombie shot.
Wait, and there's
because-
two people in the background that
Yeah.
are looking right at the camera.
Yes. God bless them. In this shot, you will see many single men walking by. None of them have groceries. None of them have children. They all look like they're possessed by the devil. There's no reason for any of them to be at ShopRite.
there he is.
There's the biggest zombie.
So hide your children.
God
Every
bless
shot.
you. Thank you for being there as an extra. But none of them have groceries. A kid just walked by
It
who
just looks
appears
like-
as an
yeah.
extra in every other scene in
But-
ShopRite.
It's like you're in the mall. People are just walking through the parking lot,
Just
just
walking through.
hanging out.
Also, shooting the cart was so loud.
Yes, every time we shot that cart,
You don't realize it until you start pushing a cart how loud a cart is.
they are loud. We needed a big oil gun.
I
Just
think
oil
we've
the wheels.
upset the Somalians with the
I just meant that I thoroughly disliked being in New Haven, and I was trying to think of a place that I would dislike more than New Haven, and Somalia. It was the only one I could come up with.
Somalia, really? I
Yes.
really liked living in New Haven.
I like the
did.
blue tarps that come down
Hey,
over
I
the
still
alcohol.
live in New Haven, so
I would like to say, in terms of the semi-autobiographical nature of this film, that yes, there was a boy who was a cashier at Stop and Shop that I thought was kind of cute. That is true. But I only saw him a couple of times, and things never got out of hand, and he disappeared. So,
Well, that's sort of what happens in this movie.
things get a little bit more involved
is-
in this movie.
Oh.
Okay,
I was gonna say title cards, but we don't need to talk about that now.
title
So-
cards. Self-help. Well, first,
we-
please note there's a clothespin right above Wendy's head.
It's gone.
Scott
fine.
Wyles, you are a member of the G&E crew. Would you like to comment on that? No, now we can't see it.
Well, I was gonna say, the clothespin is called a C-47.
Oh,
but
right.
I didn't learn that on this shoot. I learned that at a very expensive film school.
Did you?
You did? You learned that at NYU?
I didn't learn that at NYU. I think I learned that at. We didn't even learn that much at
Ixnay on the
NYU.
NYU third.
Don't
grade
mention them.
school.
Don't mention them.
No, NYU only spits out
Okay,
directors.
let's go back to the mention of two-pack chopsticks. I think that's a very funny play on Deepak Chopra. Chris Joy thinks it's awful. Ike,
Thinks it's awful too. Yes.
Scott, two-pack chopsticks, yes or no?
It makes me think of Tupac Shakur. May he rest in peace.
Maya,
Lord.
thumbs up, thumbs down.
I never had many thoughts about it until
Yeah.
now. It's okay.
This is a very funny series of quick testimonials. The biggest laugh coming up with Jack, who says "not in fucking ShopRite." That's for sure. These
Tell
were
you that
fun.
much. He actually says that.
What does he say?
Tell you that much.
I'll tell you that. See?
Yeah.
I don't even have the line right. There you are. We couldn't
Back to
afford
the
whatever
first
it
day
is.
of
You have to
shooting.
run film at so that the computer screens don't roll. That's not what we did. We had a shot of Watson looking at all of seeing what Watson was looking at.
Where was that shot? Where was the actual?
Isn't that beautiful? That,
Is that
was
in
some.
Connecticut?
Yes, that was second unit done later. I think after the film
We
was
had a
shot.
second unit? I didn't remember that.
We did.
Wendy's
Well, the second
covering up-
unit happened after the film was done.
Shows what I know.
What's that about, Wendy?
She's covering up a hickey, right?
No,
No?
this was all.
I think she looks really nice.
I think she looks very cute. I think she looks very Doris Day in this scene.
This is
This
is
was
at the
shot
New Haven
actually in a
Hotel.
hotel,
That's
right?
right.
Yes,
That-
we are in the New Haven Hotel. We are in some manager's office. This is a scene I'd like to point out. I do not think this scene. Nobody knows what the hell is happening in this scene. She's going go toe pack, go toe pack. It's supposed to be about her. She's quit her job and she's writing, and it's all coming together for her.
It made a lot more sense in the script, really.
It made a lot more sense on the script. On screen, I don't think it makes sense at all, and I have a very hard time seeing this scene.
She's crippled in the scene,
With an
right?
audience.
She can't.
She is not crippled, but I have a hard time watching that scene because I realize I'm the only one in the audience that knows what's going on.
I want to say that exterior shot was our actual. That was our production office as well.
That was this house that you're seeing where we just saw an exterior is the house that we shot all. That's
In
Watson's
Hamden,
house. That was our production office. It was around the corner from the house where I lived on Coram Street and where Ike and Scott and I all lived as well. Maya lived down the street.
I did.
And so this is the house that they're in now is this one that we went for a long time scouting for houses and finally found someone around the corner who was willing to let us basically move all their stuff out and shoot in there, and was very agreeable when it all started out. And then as soon as we started to actually shoot, just everything went bonkers, and she hated us and wanted us out and threatened to sue us because we were scratching her wall and putting bad juju in the place, and it was just a mess.
It turned into kind of a bad scene.
Yes.
To this day, the owner of this house, well, I don't live in New Haven anymore, but when I did, she never had anything, she only gave me very mean, evil looks whenever she saw me at the video store in the neighborhood. But I think the art department did a really nice job in her house took up
Yes.
wall-to-wall carpeting, painted. I think the
That
house looked a
room-
lot better.
Floors.
You know,
When we
watching
left.
this, you wouldn't think that room wasn't blue before, but it was actually sort of a fatigue green.
Was it?
Yes.
That I don't remember.
Yes, so you shouldn't.
Yeah, well, that's the
that.
funny thing is we redid this whole house and probably upped its resale value by about $100,000, and all the lady did was complain. Like, she wanted her purple shag carpet back.
We were happy to get this house, though. I have to say, I was in New York casting around this time. We were still trying to finish casting, and Ike, as the co-producer, was up here in Hamden in New Haven and trying to find a location for Watson's house. And this is not a very production-savvy area, and it was not easy to find a location to shoot in. Do you remember that, Ike?
Oh, yes.
You know, people just, it's not like New Jersey or New York City where the film offices have binders full of people that are willing to rent their houses out.
Mm-hmm.
So we were very happy to get this house.
It was one of the many things that came together kind of at the last minute.
It is one of the many things. Thanks to Mimi Winton
Mm-hmm.
and Hugh Sutherland, my beloved landlords on Coram Street, who gave me the lead on this house. This is another scene, again, that I think works better on the script than it did when we shot it. I found all these scenes. Jeff Eplett, the DP, and I had a very hard time blocking all the scenes between Watson and Ian that happened in the living room. And I don't know. I never ended up... I always have a hard time with them when I see them on screen. They just seem kind of stagnant to me. However, I do love this scene. I think this is very pretty. Now we're in the backyard at this house. This is where everybody would probably go out to smoke normally during production, but...
No, wasn't this actually wasn't this based on a conversation you and I had at some point?
I think it
where
was.
you showed me some script and I came out, or was on the phone, I think, and I said, oh yeah, it's actually got great, whatever you just wrote is great, and I'm not kidding about it, and way to go, and you rock. And
Absolutely.
So on.
Well, I have two things to say. One, Ian shot, that shot is one of my favorite shots in the whole movie. I think it's really pretty, seeing Ian against all those trees. But two, actually, I think it's, when I finished writing the script to 101 Ways, I sent it to you in Florida, and you really liked it. You said, I think this is the one that you should try to get made, because I'd already written that other script for the time being. And you were really enthusiastic about it and said, do it. This is the one. So I completely shifted gears and went with 101 Ways.
It seemed like a great idea at the time.
Many years later, it didn't seem like such a great idea. Tarnished Barge.
No, those are robotic lobsters that we had made in the
Did
creature
we
shop.
rent that lobster tank, or was that there? I can't remember.
All of those lobsters died.
Ugh,
I'm sorry
I don't
to
wanna
say
think
that.
about it.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to think about it. This was a restaurant on Whitney Avenue called Steamers. That's Jack Gilpin playing George, the manager of the Tarnished Barge.
And where else would we know Jack from?
Many movies.
Oh.
Many movies. I'd like to say
I haven't seen that.
This whole sequence is Chris Joy's favorite sequence. I just have to get that out in the open, especially the spies footage.
What have you seen Chris Joy in?
What have we? Chris Joy has not appeared in any movie
He's been in
that
many
we
movies
know.
also.
No, he hasn't.
He's co-starred in many movies with Jack Gilpin.
Chris Haight.
People who live in the New Haven area somehow were able to figure out the restaurant I was referencing when I named this restaurant the Tarnished Barge.
Well, because you worked in a similar restaurant that was pretty miserable, right?
That was similar. That was very, similar.
Now, again, this whole section is based on an experience you had about you went to a restaurant, you got a job, and then they complained about your pants.
Well, they complained about my pants. They were very corporate, and I know that you were supposed to take a test before you started waitressing, where you had to answer questions like, who is the regional vice president? Which I felt was totally irrelevant, and I could never work in a restaurant that expected me to know stuff like that. Do you walk by with a plant in this scene?
I actually do, and I think you see more of the plant than you do of me.
Yeah.
I think
There's...
No, that's
Is that
someone
you?
else.
There you are. That was you.
I don't think that's me.
That's not you?
I
I want to say that there was a kid...
We got the wrong guy here.
We have the wrong guy here. I love how Glenn just has his leg, like, sort of casually...
It looks like he's humping
He's hiding morning.
Well, it just sort of looks like he's hanging, his leg is on a step up. I think is that DC?
See, Glenn has...
There's DC in his fatigues.
No, Glenn has a wooden leg, doesn't he?
No, he does not.
Glenn is a fantastic actor because he pretends that there's a register drawer below that area there.
That's true.
It doesn't exist.
Yes.
He's pressing those buttons, but he's...
See, that right there, that's method
There's
acting.
nothing
what
down
he's doing
there.
right there.
He's
That's
reaching into
exactly.
the garbage.
That's behind the actor studio stuff right
I
there.
swear,
That's good
I think
stuff.
I was on the set this day, and I was totally impressed. I was like, now that's an actor.
No, he did a good job. We didn't have full... It's not like there were ShopRite people standing around waiting to help us make the cash registers work.
No.
Now, coming up is one of my favorite moments. This is Watson listening to Car Talk, one of my favorite shows on the radio. It's on NPR.
It makes me depressed, that show, but that's
I
just
love
the
Car
third
Talk,
talking.
and I personally picked this little segment, and this segment always gets a laugh. Okay, here we are, Watson's first day of training at the Tarnished Barge. That's James Walsh playing Mason. He played Kurt in the short of 101 Ways.
Let me just say CTO. I'm a third grip. I have to.
What does CTO mean?
That's the orange filter you put over a light. A grip.
For those of
What's
you
a grip do, Scott?
A grip. Thanks for asking. A grip, besides drinking during commentaries, they basically move everything, set everything up that isn't plugged in. If it's plugged in, it's handled by electric. If it's
a stand.
it's a stand. It's a wood thing.
A flag.
It's a metal thing. It's a grip.
Okay.
And there's your key grip, who is your boss, and then third grip gets McDonald's.
Well, here, I'd just like to say the art department had a lot of fun in this restaurant. It was supposed to be a cheesy seafood restaurant, so they just kind of took all the outlandish seafoodish decorations and crowded them into every shot.
The main thing is that there's an almanac of humor that's going on this dry erase board
Yes.
up there.
If you can hit pause,
George, the
do it
manager,
now.
I can't hit pause, but some of the things going on that dry erase board, which Ike totally wrote, are things that say good, better, best. Which one are you?
Pain is for the weak. That's another one up there.
Pain is for the weak. And salmonella is not a fish.
No, it's Scott Wyles.
That was Scott Wyles.
So a lot of comedy there. There's a lot of future
Great comedy.
people will study that.
I almost wish we could have a whole
If you have
movie
a Zoom feature on your DVD,
about that dry erase board.
stop.
Yeah.
If you have the remove the guy from standing in front of the feature, that's actually my shirt. Who's wearing my shirt?
Where's the
that
shirt?
blue dress shirt he's wearing was.
Is that right? Did we
That
run
would be
out of
my
shirts that day?
department, but I don't
Maya.
know.
Yeah.
He's wearing my underwear, but
Okay. The other. Let's talk. Well, we're getting it. We're coming up to the spies. I don't know if we're there quite yet.
Can I just say, since
Yes.
there's a moment of silence for the record, that a costumer on a film irons.
Irons. A
Thank
costumer irons.
That's what I want to say.
Scott, would you have rather ironed or done or opened beers? There's Jayce Bartok
No,
playing the ex-boyfriend,
Yes. Now, this is a character that was based loosely on myself.
based loosely on Ike, and Ike actually plays this character in the short.
Yeah, no, and I want all of you actors out there to think about this, because I actually tried out for this character. I was one of the producers. I tried out for the character and was told I was not a good enough actor to play myself. I want all of you to think about exactly what that implies
It's funky,
about my
huh?
skills.
Funky? It's almost surreal.
I'm much better looking than he is, though, I have to say that.
Oh my goodness. Well, Jayce is in the famous Daggett Street loft.
Oh wait, he's in Spider-Man.
Jayce is in Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and he also, this location, Hank's apartment, is Dave LaSala and J. Miles' Daggett Street loft.
Dave LaSala, brother of Chris Leg LaSala,
Who works at Best Video.
and who wanted to be mentioned today.
Okay. Well, there. Good
Here we
going.
go, here
There
we
we
go.
go. But Ike, although Ike was not cast as Hank, the ex-boyfriend, there he is playing spy number 2 on the right.
Yep.
And that's Jefferson Mays, who came in last minute as spy number 1. We had a really hard time casting spy number 1, and he was amazing. And I gotta say, Jefferson just got this part, and he literally stepped off the train in this fabulous, great Gatsby 3-piece suit that he's wearing, including the straw hat that you see on the table.
Well, that's my shirt. I'm wearing my shirt, though.
Ike, is there anything
The
you'd like
same
to
shirt from-
tell us about this scene? Because
Well, another interesting thing is most of this scene is actually on the cutting room floor, and so you would think as a producing person, you would have more say over whether a scene ends on the cutting room floor, especially if you're in it. But no.
that is true. Hopefully, you will be able to see some of the spy footage in the deleted scenes section of the DVD, but
we have some serious jump cuts here. That's purpose.
a lot of jump cuts. This sequence with Watson working was a little longer. Ike and Jefferson were playing these spies, and I'm not even sure if that comes across now, but
Spies as in restaurant spies.
Spies as in corporate restaurant spies, timing her and making sure she was doing everything according to procedure. So the sequence got cut down a bit.
Now, I remember thinking the smoking was something that was not a sympathetic character trait.
I was not a proponent of the smoking, and I was ruled out.
Really? Who
Yes.
was? Who was big on that?
I don't know. It sort of happened, and it was one of those things. I think Wendy felt very strongly about it, and some of the producers felt strongly about it, and I just said, all right, we'll have her smoke. But I kind of shy away from seeing smoking in film when possible. Okay, here we are. This is a very important location. We are at Connecticut's own Volvo. It's a Volvo dealership in Westport, partially owned by a very famous film actor.
We can say who that is.
Whose name is Paul Newman.
Yes, Paul Newman owns.
And
co-owns
Paul
this whole-
Newman personally read this script.
Paul Newman wants the fourth
wish.
grip. He's getting beers.
Paul
right now.
Newman was offered the part of Watson, but turned it down.
He was too busy making popcorn and salad
Yes,
dressing.
and salsa. But But he said, I can't play Watson. I really appreciate it. However, you can shoot in my co-owned dealership, and I will loan you a car.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. This is Joseph Saravo playing Valentino, who I think did a great job as Watson's dealer. I will say my original dealer, where I bought my Volvo in West Palm Beach, and my dealer's name was not Valentino, but
And he did not look like a soap opera.
but he was a good
star.
guy, and I love this scene. I think this guy's really trying to help Watson out, and I just think this is a great location. I mean, we're in a Volvo dealership, for God's sake.
Well, plus also in this scene, Jennifer, you take a total stab at the Volvo 740s.
I do. I do not approve of the 740 design. It's a joke that's lost on most people. You have to really be into Volvos to get that 740
They
joke.
were just weird and angular.
They're just an ugly car.
Also, as a grip, let me mention wardrobe. I think in this location, someone in wardrobe took a full roll of duvetine and made a dressing room out of it, and then he no longer worked.
What are you talking about?
Someone took our full roll of duvetine, which is quite expensive, and they made like.
Is duvetine the black felt?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
For a dressing room for whom?
I don't know. Someone.
By the way, I think this was our first day of shooting. Anyone
This
back
was
me up?
second.
Are you sure this
I'm
was
gonna
second?
say two.
This was,
Really? Was the diner on the first day?
Yes.
Okay, then this was day two.
The
This
first
was
day
day
was
two.
the longest. It was 120 degrees. We will go into that.
Later.
Yeah.
I will say, okay, Volvo dealership, Alita was our prop master.
Yes.
Here we have a class. She also was responsible for this ad, which I think is a very realistic looking classified ads. Although Connecticut's own Volvo said, we will help you, this dealership helped me with the short. They said they would help us with the feature. They said they would loan us a brand new Volvo for the shoot. But they never returned Alita's phone calls when we were trying to pick up that car. And eventually what she did was just show up at the dealership and say, hey, I'm here to pick up the car for the movie shoot. And everybody was so surprised and shocked and unprepared that they ended up giving her a car, which she then...
Wow. So therefore, the way to get a car is to show up at a dealership, tell them you're there to pick up the car for the movie, tell them you'll bring it right back. Now, that's Will Pinnock, another various producing person.
Another various producing person. This was a much longer sequence in the script. This got cut down a bit. I had thought it was important to see Watson work for it a little bit more in trying to sell the Volvo. And there's some good cameos that happen in this section.
Yes, my grandmother will be.
Maya's
Coming up.
grandmother's coming up. There's Wendy Brockman playing Roberta.
Wendy played the mother in the short.
Wendy played the mother in short and was very sweet to play this little cameo here in the feature. There used to be a dig. Wendy, her character drives a big, just obnoxious SUV that ended up being cut out, unfortunately. But it was a funny moment. There we go.
That is my grandma,
Whose name is
Oriella.
Oriella.
Go, grandma. Her eyes are sort of fluttering because she kept opening them, saying, "What?"
Why Maya's grandmother. That's a beautiful shot of the Volvo. And I like this slow dolly into Watson here. She's contemplating losing the Volvo. This is a very serious moment. Perhaps the
Jennifer,
serious and saddest moment.
why
in
Grips
the
push
film.
the dolly.
If you,
Grips push the dolly. Yes.
I was just gonna say, you could take the next 20 seconds to say why the Volvo is so important to her.
To Watson?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Lewis brought that up on the commentary for the short. Why is the Volvo important to Watson? I think that the Volvo is kind of the only thing she's got going on that's permanent. Sort
Why
of
is she
her
waving
thing.
American flags if she's... I don't know. That's a different story.
That's just the third
Scott's, let's just get the record straight here. Scott's father works for GM.
Yes.
Yes, in Buffalo.
He works for an American company.
Scott has never approved of anyone buying a foreign car. However, I
Well,
believe,
it's one
doesn't
thing-
GM own Volvo now? An American car company purchased Volvo.
You're so far gone from the film.
Well, we're getting into politics now.
Okay.
Because Scott was down in Florida when I got the Volvo, which again was forced upon me by my mother, who didn't trust that I could drive anything else. But I have to say, okay, I fell in love with the Volvo. I didn't want a new Volvo. I was forced into a new Volvo because I had a sum. I had like a few $1,000s to buy a car. My mom was going to give me another few thousand, and she said, I'm not going to give you the money unless it's a new Volvo. That is the truth. I ended up with a new Volvo. I don't think that was necessary. It depreciates the moment you drive it off the lot.
But
that is
you still
true.
drive it now.
But I still have the Volvo that I bought in Florida now. It's parked right outside on Douglas Street. And it's been really a great addition to my life, I have to say. Here we are. We're back in the living room again.
Now
More awkward staging.
Now that was originally a gun she had to her ear, and we digitally put a phone.
We did.
Because originally, in the previous version, she was going to kill herself in this scene.
This is all CGI right here that you're seeing.
Yeah, these are all puppets.
Great work.
The same people who made the lobsters make these people.
Actually, that greenery outside the window is all beautiful reservoirs.
Yeah, it actually was.
Which were very low
very
because
pretty area.
there was a drought, but
which harkens back to the swans in the mud.
This is the first time we hear P.J. Brown as Kurt, who this always gets a laugh in screenings. This whole kind of concept of someone calling up someone to be a phone sex operator.
Again, something that did actually happen to you.
Well, that I think we should leave that in the semi-autobiographical realm.
I mean, it could have happened to someone.
Mm-hmm.
Who has
Anyone
a phone.
could have been, yes.
And a Volvo.
And a house in Connecticut.
But let's
and
leave
the
it at
ambition. Let's get back to
Enough
Maya's
said.
grandmother.
Flutter.
Maya, what were you doing during this scene?
This scene, I was probably ironing. I'm
I was
serious.
gripping.
Ike, were you producing?
I was usually, typically,
Where
when you're
was I?
producing, usually by the time the movie actually starts, you're kind of done with most of the stuff. Most of the stuff is just getting it to the point where they're ready to shoot, and otherwise you just sit around and hoping nothing goes wrong. So usually people would come up to me and they say, "So what do you do?" And I'd be like, "As little as possible."
You helped though. You helped a lot.
Yes. He did help a lot.
I gripped. I
occasionally
sometimes.
he was a fourth grip.
Fourth grip, Ike McFadden. Okay, now we're getting into the Dirk Douglas sequence of the film, and I personally feel that the whole movie takes off at this point. No pun intended. This is Gabriel Macht playing Dirk Douglas, the pilot.
The crippled pilot.
The crippled pilot. That's a great moment there. But the humor never gets as high as it does in this sequence. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong?
I think he's ripping off Bruce Campbell, but that's a different story.
Oh, you think everyone's ripping off Bruce Campbell.
But he is great. This is
He's
definitely your film is packed chock full of interesting.
That's our first AD in the background.
That's Jason Rubenstein.
Oh wait, and our set dresser right there.
Yeah.
That's Phyllis.
Yeah.
And that's some New Haven political
from Shop.
figure. I can't remember his name
We had
now.
to put him in there in order to get the hotel or something.
Sal something, remember?
Something
Yeah,
else.
that's
He looks
true.
like Sal.
So back to Gabriel Macht.
Gabriel was a friend of the producers, and I believe he was given the script, and they wanted him to consider playing the young cop. But he read the script, and he really related to the part of the pilot, which was very cool because most actors did not relate to this character at all. But when I met with him, he said, hey, I know I usually cast as romantic leads, but I gotta say I'm really into this pilot. I think he has great potential. And
he really wanted to be goofy with it. He wanted
He
to
really
originally
wanted to
say the lines in a really high pitch.
Yes. Yes.
Gabriel Macht, God bless
Yeah,
you.
he was willing to go all the way with it. But we decided that was a little too much, and went with what he did here. I love actually. Jayce is so funny in this scene because he's only doing bicep curls with about a 10-pound dumbbell.
Well, he's acting.
Yeah.
He's acting. There we are.
Look
We're
at
at the
that.
Daggett
It's like,
Street Loft again. The Daggett Street Loft. Scott, are you okay? Do you need help? Okay.
Scott is pacing.
gripping.
Okay, this is one of the best little. Oh, mind you, in the script, Dirk Douglas is a pilot of a jumbo jet. And all of these little testimonials, like the one you're seeing now, were in the cockpit of a big jumbo jet.
In the script.
In the script. Needless to say, we downsized a bit for New Haven.
Yeah, now he's the pilot of a ramp.
Of a ramp. But meanwhile, we're at Tweed Airport, the international airport. This is the best moment in the film.
Which slaps him in the face.
The caution tape slapping him in the face. One of those great gems that happens.
Yeah, he was wonderful. It's a pretty day, isn't it?
Beautiful day.
Oh, and then he pokes himself in the eye with his glasses when he tries to put
Big
them back
laugh.
on. Yeah, watch.
Very big laugh.
Now, this is also semi-autobiographical in that there was an interlude with a pilot at some point. Yes?
That's right. You had an interlude with the pilot, didn't you?
No, it was not me.
Oh,
I agree with
I don't know
pilot.
who it was. It was Scott.
All
Scott,
right.
you. Oh,
Jennifer,
Jennifer,
it's
big.
time to talk about Chapel Street.
Only after I cough. Okay, Chapel Street. This is the big downtown street in New Haven, and we got permission to close it down and shoot this Steadicam walk and talk, and it was very exciting. Scott, we had a crane
We
and
had
a
a
big
crane.
HMI.
HMI pointing down. We had a lot of lights hitting in every nook
No,
and
we-
cranny.
Absolutely.
And,
You're not shooting a movie until it's night and people can't walk down the street normally, and there's a crane and a big HMI. That's when you're shooting a movie.
Also, as far as gripping goes, never let a grip alone in a hotel room with tools and a 2x4.
Because what happens?
They practically set fire to the hotel room they were staying in, didn't they?
But wasn't that
just
later
to
in the night?
rebuild it?
Mm-hmm. Well, no. The scene I think we're going to cut back to that scene.
We
because this
didn't
is
put the lens on right during this scene.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that the
why it's
problem?
all. That's right. It's double, triple vision because of the lens.
Put on
Okay.
the 3D glasses.
Getting back to that street scene on Chapel Street, where we ran very late that night. And we went into what's called, second meal? Is that what it is? Second meal?
Yes, Jennifer.
That's when you've worked the crew
That's
beyond
when you
any
have
reasonable...
to feed all these people that are working for hardly anything again.
Yeah, that's like a 15-hour day.
Anyway, let me tell you, because I lived with Ike and Scott during the shoot, I got all the inside detail from Scott. And our second meal that night was falafel from a very famous New Haven place called Mahmoud's. Well, I only found out later from Scott that the grips and the electricians were not happy with the second meal of falafel.
Well, and part of that was also because I think the regular meal had been some kind of cold
I think
vegetarian
it was
thing.
Marino. It was Mexican.
Oh, God,
but
It was but it was really late.
It was from another organic place.
It
Yeah.
was
Basically-
fair. No, it's true. It was all kind
It
of
was
granola
disgusting.
stuff.
Grip and electrics are real men. They want to eat
They
meat
are.
and
They're
potatoes.
men's men.
They
They're
want,
moving at lights.
Yeah.
They're
They
moving
don't want
dollies.
like low carb, low
cranes.
fat.
We just
No one knew about low carb in
There's a
1998.
big moment coming up here. This was all Gabriel. This was not in the script. This little do 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 do. Huge laugh.
That was semi-autobiographical too, wasn't it?
No, not at all. That was pure Gabriel,
That makes me laugh.
and that's a big laugh. And
we
I
digitally
just
put on
can't.
clothes, right? They were naked.
That's right. This is a great sequence. This cutting back and
This-
forth
this
between
does.
her and Dirk Douglas. There he is, a tweet. That's a kick-ass location. Look at that beautiful
We
shot.
should say something nice about the editor, whoever he was.
White Smith.
There you go.
It's just beautiful. The Judy Blume, huge laugh. People relate to
If you're
Judy
over
Blume.
age 25, it's a huge laugh.
I love his fly open in this shot. I can't remember whose idea that was. I think it was mine though. I have to say. Every now and then, I about once in 25 instances, I had a brilliant idea. I love how Wendy puts on lip gloss in this scene. I've
Now,
always
she
wanted.
imitates him here, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. I've always wanted to be able to put on lip gloss without looking at myself in the mirror, but I can't. So I think that's amazing.
That's why
What do
she's
you
an
do?
actress.
That's why she's the star. That's right. It's a great New Haven hotel. Little tagline here. You don't have to leave. Very funny.
Take our word for it.
Now all this stuff was shot in the New Haven Hotel, which was also the location where we saw the scene of Watson quitting the asphalt paving company.
It's also where we were staying, or half the
Well,
crew was
this is
staying.
where all the crew and the cast stayed. And I'll tell you what.
Don't shoot on a hotel.
Yeah, they won't have us back.
They will not have anybody back. But this was I tell you, this was literally, it took political know-how and connections to get the New Haven Hotel to agree to let our cast and crew stay there. Now, in most cities, booking in an entire feature film into a hotel is considered good for business. In New Haven, it's an ordeal. This is
she's
why
no longer in the elevator right here, right?
she is back in the home.
Do you want
in her
another
home.
beer, Scott?
She's back
You
in
got
her
it?
home. Now, this is Watson feeling kind of sorry for herself. She's being rejected. Things aren't working out with men.
She's wearing a brown
She
sweater.
comes down to work on her script late at night. I mainly wanted this scene to be about crickets. I mainly wanted this scene to be about the sound of crickets outside. In the sound mix, I was just like, the crickets need to be louder.
Well, the grips were outside making
Cricket noises.
Cricket
I
noises.
still don't think the crickets are loud enough when I look at this scene.
We also had a ton of light overhead. We just rigged this.
I like this scene though. I like how this plays. Now she's looking at a letter. Does anyone know what letter she's looking at? Anyone get what's she looking
B.
at?
Letter
It's
B.
a love letter.
No, it's that letter from isn't that the repossession Volvo letter?
Yes.
No, I only know that because I read the script. Though.
Well,
I
see,
don't think that's clear in the
Chris today said, "Oh, I understand. It's the letter from Volvo. We've already seen it." Scott, did you ever get who understands that is the letter from Volvo? Do we understand?
The
That's
special
really,
edition DVD comes with the letter.
This is great. So now, basically, she's freaked out, and now she goes to New York. And I have to say, I love this series of shots. It's her going from Connecticut to New York. This is all second unit stuff that's happened way after the film. I love this wipe.
Oh,
It's
wait.
like
And now
the
what
UPS
is-
truck, and we're in New York.
Who's
And there's-
stepping out into the
There I
middle
am.
of
That's
the
a
screen?
cameo of me. You can barely see me. I'm way in the background. Black shirt, jeans. I'm a tourist with shopping bags. I'm gone already. But this was our last day of the shoot. We were in New York, and this is all Watson. The idea being that she's coming home.
Now she's crossing. That's
That
Houston.
was Houston. Houston and Broadway actually was that corner. We tried to figure out a very busy corner.
A big mistake. The producers rented out all of Manhattan for that shot.
And we only needed that one
And
corner.
it wasn't necessary.
That was so overkill.
That's a nice shot. And actually, a lot of
This
the
is great.
outside, the daylight stuff all looks very nice.
This is a
Very
beautiful
few twitches. in
walk
this.
and talk shot. And again, I think this was Sandy Hayes doing steady cam for us. Woo!
There was also a scene that got shot. I mean, shot high, yeah, and then cut.
What's in the car?
No.
In the car.
No, it was in his apartment.
Oh,
Don't
you're
laugh.
right.
You're not laughing at me.
You're right. Scott's covering his mouth. This is a really nice walk and talk. I just think this is a lovely scene.
No.
I love how Jayce and Wendy play off each other. Jayce and Wendy had actually worked together in another film called Killing Bobcat. So they had a really nice relationship that they were able to kind of build on for this movie.
No bobcats were killed in that movie.
Now, one of the things we've got to talk about is how to get into New York, we had a real disaster. The only real disaster of the movie was when we had shot a long day in New Haven, and they decided we're going to drive all the equipment, which is considerable, into New York City, and then
For our last day of shooting.
and then what happens?
Scott?
In my defense, I drove the small generator truck.
I didn't say it was your fault.
That's right.
Well, I'm putting things in quotes here, so add your fingers, making the quotes. Basically, the grip truck drove into a tunnel which was not truck friendly, and it got wedged in the center, in the middle of the tunnel, and they had a choice: back up or go forward. They chose forward, and it basically just became part of the.
So anyway, the grip truck basically was all scratched, all the.
A tow truck had to come pull it out of the tunnel.
The truck was totally destroyed. Okay, are we still recording? The writer-director's having a coughing fit, and I don't know if we're still...
So we tried to go into New York. The truck was utterly destroyed. A grip truck has all of the lights in it, all the stands in it. We couldn't even open the truck up.
The producer actually had to go and find a saw to saw open the truck, which is hard to find in Soho. Soho doesn't not have a lot of
Heavy equipment. And
heavy equipment.
so anyway, that was
Kate
basically...
Spade was no help.
Well, I heard Scott. You can tell me if this is true or not. I heard that you guys had to unload the truck by climbing up a ladder, and sort of entering.
We had to peel open the truck.
Okay.
Like an orange, like just part of the roof, and we had to drop down there. So we actually.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare.
Well, we actually dropped inside the truck, and it felt very scary inside a truck full of equipment with just few shafts of light, which, unlike the movies, the shafts of light were not blue. It felt like being on like the Titanic, a sunken Titanic, or another planet. Anyways, we could only get out a few pieces of equipment because the hole was only so big, and but luckily it was all on location, and we only needed a few flags. And
we downsized as necessary.
Yes. Welcome back, Jennifer B. Katz.
Thank you. I'm done with my choking fit.
And,
caused by too much beverages and the memory of that truck.
The truck got all effed up.
That was a beautiful moment.
Yeah. Now this...
More grocery shopping.
Is that what the title card said?
What's that?
Is that what the title card said? Okay.
That is what the title card said. This is good. This is good. All the grocery store stuff is, I think, good high energy stuff. Everybody is very funny playing off of each other. Catherine is very funny as Bagger Girl in this scene. Again, being lit by very strong lights behind her.
You got a lot of famous people in the background there.
There, a second assistant director.
And I think you even have a producer in the background there.
Yes. We do. And I believe, Maya, I do believe you are coming up.
Really?
As I'm almost sure
no, I think
that you're one of the Bagger Girls. Or one of the cashiers.
I think, Jennifer, that it's the next time that we are in the grocery store.
Oh, really? With Bagger Girl?
Yeah.
Well,
not this time, but the next time.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
Are you sure that's not you? Right there? Or there?
Maya, there you are.
I think, okay, if you say so.
And God bless anyone who's still listening to this
I have to say, now, I love that sign. I will say, it was Mary Gossard, who was our wardrobe designer, came up with the red Lacoste shirts and the little black vests. And I thought that was really great. Everyone looked just cute as punch in their little red shirts and the black aprons.
Now, cute as punch is a great Jenniferism.
Oh, Lord.
It's a mangled, like...
It is something Watson would say.
It is.
Cute
well,
as
what if I mangled there? Cute as...
Wait, like cute as a button is a saying
Cute as a
I've
button
heard.
and something as punch, right?
Punchy as punch?
Oh, Lord help us.
See, you know what I think every time I see this scene is, gosh, the sun's gone down a lot.
Yes, we had about 10 minutes to get that scene. Before the sun was down. It surprisingly doesn't look like the middle of the afternoon.
Does not.
This is Glenn's only testimonial. The cucumber joke always gets a laugh, which makes me very happy. But I think he does a lot with this testimonial, and I love how he eats the sandwich. There's something very real about it.
The grip's called dainty.
Dainty? Okay, this is the fantasy scene.
You know,
There
it's
we go.
fantasy because it's in slow motion.
Yes, right. And there's no one in Stop and Shop, or in ShopRite. Because God knows we had hundreds of extras in all the other scenes.
Scott, do you fantasize in slow motion?
Yes, but black and white.
Maya, do you fantasize in slow
Reversal.
motion?
Black and white.
Always.
Sometimes I fantasize.
Actually, this is the first time I've ever seen this scene because it was a closed set. Because it's so hot.
Hey, you saw this scene at the cast and crew screening,
No,
man.
I know.
Oh, I'd like to say that this was one of the scenes that I remember when the producers were giving me script notes. They said, we need a funny fantasy scene of Watson fantasizing about Jack the cashier. So then I turned to Ike, who had helped me develop the script from the beginning, and I said, okay, I need Ike is a very, very good comedic writer, and I said, I need a funny fantasy scene about Watson and Jack at the store. And he gave me a few, but this scene is pure Ike McFadden.
Really? I honestly don't
Absolutely,
remember that.
down to Jack rubbing himself with the fruit. That is pure Ike McFadden. The other scene that was a choice was like a fantasy where Watson and Jack were in a Parisian cafe set in the produce section. It was all about produce. I don't know how you honed into that, but it was totally your concept.
Wow.
This was a closed set, and luckily Glenn was very confident and really took control and jumped over the whole conveyor belt thing. So all I really had to do was say action and cut, and we did it a couple times, and that was about the end
Now
of
we're in
it.
a super dream sequence.
Yeah, because it's super slow
Super slow. You gotta love that boa. Every movie should have a boa in it.
in slow motion.
And
I
a
don't care
third
what
grip.
it is. And a third grip. Scott, by the way, I think you're the only person that doesn't have a cameo in this movie. There's a Scott, Jaime.
No,
Doing a very funny,
I'm much
funny
gayer.
dancing.
I'm much gayer.
Yeah, if this had been Scott, God knows what could have happened in it. But
I'd be dancing with beers.
but it's a good. I love seeing Jaime dance in that sequence with all the little. Woo! Okay,
Okay,
now
here
this
we-
is the party sequence is all about our gay extras. That's all I think about when I see this sequence.
Gays in quotes. Happy.
Alternative
Look,
extras.
these were gay men. That was the joke. The joke was that Ian would fill the party with people, so it wasn't obvious that they were only having the party to get Jack, the cashier, there. But as it turned out, all the people were men, gay men. Here comes Jayce with the strippers, and Tracy Christian. There's Tracy walking by the blonde. I've known Tracy since 5th grade. At Merrymount. There's Jayce, so funny there. Now, and actually, this whole concept of the strippers is really heavily based on Ike.
I only dated a stripper once.
Okay.
That was long after
It was
the fact.
long ago.
And I stopped stripping a while back.
And Maya's only done it for a couple of years. So, what?
But it is done. This was something that occurred to me during some of these scenes with Jayce. I'm sure. Did it ever seem kind of surreal to you to watch someone, to be doing a movie about someone and seeing someone play you in a movie about something that had happened, reenacting a scene that happened to you? To me, there were a couple times where I was like, doo 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 doo.
Yeah, no, I never felt that way.
Okay.
Not at all. Never.
How do you feel
Never.
about that tube top, Jennifer?
Tube top. All I know is I think Tracy looks damn good in that tube top. It was a beautiful tube top. I think everyone should wear tube tops. In
Scott.
fact,
I do not agree with
on
that.
the last day of shooting, Scott wore that tube top.
I did.
Scott
With
looked
a,
good.
He really
with a
stretched it
25-pound
out.
sandbag.
He really stretched it out. I love
Stop.
this scene. I think this is a funny scene. Once Hank runs in and they're all excited about Jack showing up at the party. I think it's real cute.
Yeah, all this is very relaxed. This is all everything's coming off without a hitch, and everyone seems to be having fun. And
Let me talk about all these extras. All these extras were rounded up by going downtown to a couple of bars and clubs in New Haven and trying to seduce people with the promise.
There's
of
only
being in
gay
a-
clubs downtown in.
Right. Being in a feature film. Most of these guys figured out that working on a feature film was really not that much fun, and they all really wanted to leave after a couple of hours. So we had to beg them. I remember I was personally asked to beg them to stay. So once we downsized, we had like 3 or 4 people that actually stayed late into the night, and if you kind of look heavily into the background, you'll see the same few people there.
I've always thought that's a way you can always tell kind of roughly what a budget is for a movie, is how
Yes,
thin or thick the extra scenes are in
absolutely.
the background.
That
There's a
is
lot
so
of extras.
true.
I think this film looks great.
Do you, Scott?
Yes.
Are you being
I think it looks very.
facetious?
No, I'm not. I'm
No,
not.
the film does
I don't even
look
know what
great.
that means, and I'm agreeing with. Talking
The film
talking
looks
sandbag terms.
The
Are we
film looks
talking-
good.
No, I think the film looks great. I think it looks very professional.
Despite the extras, or because
No,
of the extras.
I think it
Even
looks.
with the extras.
Every scene is believable. I believe they're in a house. I believe they shop.
They are in a house.
I believed.
They are, well, by golly, they are.
I
They are in a
believe that
house.
he is about to drink a beer.
And he is.
That is
surrounded.
all that I'm asking. I just need to buy it.
But
I'm
I
buying.
love. Now, mind you, this is a scene that was one of the crucial scenes that we used to audition our Watsons, and Wendy was really great when we auditioned this scene. Watch out! There goes Scott, and so here we are. Here's this scene, and I have to say one of my favorite moments is coming up, and that's Jayce who does this dance here. I think it's just a really great moment.
There's actually a really big scene with Jayce that ended up getting cut.
What was that scene?
That was the one where he talks about his date with the girl and the glitter and all that stuff.
That's the one.
Maya talked about that. That's the big Daggett Street scene that's
Yeah,
cut.
that was. It took place when she went to New York.
Right.
That's too bad.
It is too bad. That was total word for word Ike McFadden too, because Ike, you were dressed up by a woman, right?
That was semi-autobiographical. Yes, there was a
All
certain
of a sudden
date
it's
that
semi-autobiographical.
ended with me being dressed up by a woman as
Listen,
a woman.
That
I love
happened
how-
much later.
I love how Watson bumps into a dancer there on her way to
Scott,
Jack.
I don't know if your level is good when you're standing over there.
Hey, Scott, we can't hear you.
Don't worry, I'll be on the floor soon enough.
Whenever I look at this scene, all I think about is I see Tracy, my friend, dancing, and it makes me think about dancing in high school and grade school and going to clubs in Manhattan like Danceteria and going to stupid high school dances. I just that's the main thing.
Oh wait! I do want to say something.
Yes.
That all these people weren't really dancing to music.
Yes,
That was like
that is true.
that was
for the
movie making, like at its finest, is when you're sitting in a room full of people dancing to music and
Yes.
there isn't any, and they're just imagining it.
That's acting.
that is acting. I have to say,
Acting.
whenever I see dancing or music scenes or even just people talking to each other in the background in a restaurant scene, I have had to be an extra in commercials or movies just to help friends out. And I think there's nothing more embarrassing than having to sit and pretend that you're talking to someone when you're not. And I just can't believe how many actors are out there who are comfortable doing that.
Well, I don't think that's the goal of too many actors, just to be like, yeah,
No.
Mom, I was in the background.
No. That's very
pretending
true.
to talk.
Hey,
That's
I was
very
in the
true.
background once. It was great.
For
I
what?
got
Oh, for-
residuals.
You're talking about Bandits.
I am.
Girl, you were more than in the background. You were a player.
I was a player
You were a musician.
with residuals.
Maya has a cameo in Bandits
Thank you.
by Barry Levinson.
That's right.
A movie that was heavily influenced by 101 Ways, so I've heard.
And bandits.
Jennifer, do you want to talk about whether or not this is at all semi-autobiographical?
No, I do not.
Okay,
Not
just
at all.
checking.
Let's not talk about that.
Okay,
But
I-
I do think this is a funny scene. I think the opera plays very well in it. Look, in this scene, the music alone gets laughs. Despite whatever the actors are doing, the music alone gets laughs.
I got a feeling that I just don't want to be thought of as the guy who brought the alcohol. We actually set up lights on the roof,
On the roof,
in the shrubbery.
in the shrubbery. And actually, I believe the owner of this house, in pursuing her lawsuit, said that we had damaged her roof by actually stepping out on the roof outside of the windows there.
Which is
Mhm.
preposterous.
It's somewhat
Who
preposterous.
looks at a roof?
I don't know. But the fact is, this scene came out really well. At this point, I think we were in turnaround when we were shooting this scene. So we'd gone from like shooting from 6 to 6, and now we were shooting from like 3 to 3. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, so
All I remember
those
is
of you
this was like,
unfamiliar with film schedules, it's routine to shoot 12-hour days.
well, 12-hour days.
12 hour
and
day
then
is
from
a
whatever,
short day.
Yeah.
we shot this film in 4 weeks, 6-day weeks. And we went, Scott, you're looking at me like I'm insane. We went from
4 weeks.
a day a
That's
week
quick.
to a night shoot.
Star Wars
From
took-
like a midday to a midnight shoot.
Star Wars, which is number
Star Wars
one.
took 5
No,
weeks.
don't talk about Star
Number one on
Wars.
Scott's 100 films, best films according to Scott. Star Wars is number one.
I give
Star
you-
Wars is number one?
Yes.
Not,
Star
where's
Wars-
Empire?
And Tootsie's
Empire's
not on the
4.
list.
Empire's
Tootsie's not
4.
on
And Tootsie, yeah. It
Star
says
Wars
nine.
came first.
There you go.
I
The
give you-
kiss that made the box art.
Oh yeah, Jennifer, I like the box art
Well, thank you.
a lot.
I like the box
Say
art too.
box
I had
art.
absolutely nothing to do with
Box
it.
art, box art.
That's a first, really? There was
What? I had. Yes. For the first time in my relationship with this film, I had absolutely nothing to do with a creative decision. I like this moment where Watson just collapses, feeling like a total loser, and she just turns off her light. Pfft, that's the end of it. And then we have this funny tagline with all the party decorations behind Ian.
Panties. Did you see the panties?
I do.
So what is the implication here? Is that what's his name they've all spent the night
They've
there?
all spent the night, but everyone else is gone, including the strippers.
Okay.
I think this scene has great improv by Jaime when he says something about my chala.
Yeah, they talk about that and Mrs. Butterworth. It's just funny improv.
Yeah.
I can't remember whether Jayce and Jaime have worked together, Hank and Ian, but Jayce and Jaime and Wendy, they all got along. So whenever we had scenes involving the three of them, which were rare, it was fun. It was very fun. This was one of the few scenes we shot in Watson's kitchen.
Did Jayce go to NYU?
I can't remember. I don't remember. Maybe he did.
Seems like a lot of people who were on that film.
A lot of people in NYU. And I know thumbs up, down, NYU, Scott.
Now you're unemployed. Now you're third gripping.
That's what NYU stands for. Now you're
Ike,
unemployed.
thumbs up, thumbs down.
Down.
I'm not sure it's the best use of money.
Right.
Fun.
Good point. Okay,
I'm
here
the
we
only
have
one that's not college educated in this room right now, and I feel a little uncomfortable.
Maya, thumbs up, thumbs down, NYU, whether you went there or not.
I give it a
No, we should say something about this actor, shouldn't we?
PJ
Yeah.
Brown is Kurt.
That's my shirt.
That's like shirt again.
It's my
PJ
underwear.
Brown. PJ Brown was a great. I just had a great time working with him as Kurt. I have to say, a lot of. I
First
really like what
day.
he did
This
with
was
Kurt.
shot on the first day.
This was our first day,
This isn't a
and we
bank,
were at Connecticut Radio, right?
which is a bank.
Which was the bank now.
Was a bank.
This is one of my favorite looks for Watson. By the way, I love
This right here.
love him painting. I love him doing that Crayola. One of the reasons I like PJ as Kurt is he kind of we kind of saw eye to eye that Kurt, although he was this entrepreneur of a phone sex business, wasn't just a sleazy guy, that he was sort of a Renaissance man.
Phone sex operators have gotten a bad rap, really.
They do.
Yeah, because they also do like psychic readings.
Well, and they do pastel
Baby
renderings
seals.
and things like that.
What does her shirt say? What
It
is
says
that?
Pepe's. It says Pepe's, my man.
What is this?
What is that? Yeah, it was a nice day.
It's
This
a
was
red.
nice
It's a red,
day.
cool shirt. That's all I gotta say. Actually, in a moment, Wendy's about to get up and she's wearing fatigues, and I have to say, I think that this is a great. I think her ass looks great in this scene. Really.
Was
It's
that
the main
unusual?
thing
Were you
when
not?
It wasn't intentional, but it's one of the main things I think about
No,
when
so
I watch
was
this
it
scene.
unusual? Did her ass normally not look?
I don't think we saw her ass that much.
Oh,
right
my-
there.
Right.
I'm just
Look
like,
at that.
looks
That is-
fabulous.
that is some
She
great
looks great.
ass.
It looks great.
Once again, all bonus materials
There we
have
are.
not been
That's
rated.
what's in it? That's Waite Street right behind her. That's where the reservoir is.
Yes, it is.
Here we are. This is another, I have to say.
You can take a bus tour right
is my-
through.
This is
New
my
Haven and
first
see these?
film. She's about to open a letter from Volvo. And again, this is another Alita or prop master. I think that letter looks dynamite. What more could you ask
They
for?
misspelled Volvo.
You mean it should have been, how
No.
would you, yeah. In the script at this point, Volvo basically sends Watson a collection letter, and at this point, a tow truck driver arrives to collect her car. Orange Street.
Okay, you know what? There
Yes.
are so many excited local extras.
In this scene.
Yes, that
Yes.
you never see. So
That
I
is
just want to
very
say
true.
to all of those people that were there that day, that were following behind him, that were really excited to be a part of a movie, I'm sorry. Even though
That
I'm
they
in
did
the
not
world.
make it in it. But
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah.
But this is a great Steadicam shot of PJ playing Kurt walking down Orange Street, which is a very kind of famous residential area in the New Haven section of town.
A lot of Yaleys.
And it's actually not orange, though.
It's not
It's
orange?
not, it's
Oh, right.
orange.
It doesn't look orange. And that was PJ's little golf ad lib there. 44 in the back, 43 in the front.
I still don't know what that means.
Something to do with par. Scott, you're okay? You're with us? Again, here we are. First day of shooting. First day of shooting. Looking good.
We had 3
that's
location
Ike's shirt.
moves that day.
Ike's shirt. No, we had 2. We went from that location to the diner or the Volvo dealership. I can't remember which one. But I assure you, Scott, it was only 2. This is a very funny scene. In the short, you will see Ike playing Hank, and he's the only one that does this scene.
See, it took 2 actors to replace
That's
me.
right. In the feature film, you bump it up, and now it's 2 people.
You have a lot of Utz in this movie too.
What does Utz mean?
Isn't that potato chip company?
Yes, Utz was one of the products. There's the famous house.
Famous houseboy.
I know.
And there's the
man.
houseboy that my mother. I don't even think she has her nails manicured.
I was going to say that I know the name of the man who lives in the house, and I was about to just say it, but I'm not going to.
Paul Newman.
It is not Paul Newman. I would just like. I'm going to take a moment here, and I'm going to talk about my mother.
Well,
My
lucky
mother.
you.
My mother did not approve of the phone sex sequence of this film. She's a very
she
she's
got
a
burnt by a
practicing
phone as a kid.
devout Catholic, and she really only vaguely knew about the phone sex sequence, but she did not approve of it. And I would just like to say, Scott, I don't know what you're doing. What's happening? Oh my God. I would just like to say that we premiered this film in New Haven in the spring of 2000. And my mom and my sister came up to New Haven, and they were there at this premiere. And there's a big premiere because this film had been made in the New Haven area, and it was a big deal, and we had several hundred people there. It was very exciting. I cued my mother, and I said, this is when the phone sex section begins, and this is when you have to get up and leave the theater, and I will tell you when to come back in. And this is, my mother is like this. She used to, when she was very young, she would leave the room if a dirty joke was being told. So I just felt this would spare her.
Makes sense.
Spare her the pain of seeing this sequence. And all I know is that during the premiere, I'm in the theater, and I'm always pacing kind of in the background. But I remember my mom was sitting in the back, and the phone sex sequence began, and she sat there. She did not get up the way I had cued her to get up. She sat there during the whole phone sex sequence, and she watched it.
Well, good for her.
Well, what happened? Did she get upset?
Well, she didn't approve of it, but she watched it, and I don't know. I think when it was all said and done, this whole sequence got so many laughs. Mm-hmm. The film played really well at this screening, and I think she couldn't help but be swept away by pride in me.
And phone sex.
And well, I don't know about that. But that screen is in my room right now in Brooklyn.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah. And phone sex always gets laughs in a film. Cheap laughs.
Jennifer, what look were you going for with the wardrobe and hair?
Well, I'll tell you what,
there
Maya.
one?
In my mind, I was going for Brigitte Bardot. I thought sex kitten. That was the look I was going for. That's what I had conceptualized. But it ended up being something very different in the film.
Now, Jaime in this movie has exceptional control over his facial hair. I mean, those are sculpted.
Oh, the sideburns?
Yeah.
I think he just arrived to set with those sideburns.
I think he did.
Yeah. So like that. I'd seen her more with maybe a French twist, with kind of Sophia Loren eyes.
Parrot on the shoulder.
Parrot on the shoulder. I like the periwinkle negligee and robe, though.
Is that what color that is? Periwinkle?
It's Maya, you're the costumer.
Yeah, true, I am the costumer, but it just looks like purple, sort of.
This is in
Purple.
Best Video's parking lot.
This is in Best Video's parking lot, in the deleted scenes. You can actually see real footage of Best Video.
If anyone's still listening to this, Best Video is a really great store.
Great store.
And we have a crappy website.
Hoo-ha!
bestvideo.com.
Great place to rent videos.
Especially when you don't have to pay for them. But
Yeah.
even more so when, if you have to pay for them. You're lucky to be able to find the movies that you can at Best Video. Yep, there's Watson. Not looking like Bridget Bardot, but that's okay. She's got on the flannel robe now. She's given up. She's not finding this fun.
You know, Jennifer, I think that the hair woman did try to give her a French twist.
Really?
Yeah, I think she tried.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you were busy.
I definitely think I was busy.
I tried to get a French twist and got slapped.
Yeah. I'll give you a French twist.
And then slap me.
No one ever. See, I think it's very funny that Kurt is eating grapes in this scene, but I don't think anyone ever gets it.
Well, what? Gets what? He's eating grapes?
Well, that, like, Kurt is supposed to be Sam, and it's sort of postcoital, and now he's eating fruit. But it just doesn't get the laugh.
I still don't get it. What do you mean?
You don't? And then he's hurt
fruit?
when she's like, no, I never want to take a phone call from him again.
Well, I understand the
hurt.
post-coital thing if maybe he were smoking a cigarette, but I mean, I've never seen people eat grapes after...
Do you think that's true, Maya? What do you think about that?
I live a sheltered life.
I get
don't
it.
know.
I get it. Ike, don't you get it?
I personally
Scott?
have never
Scott?
eaten
Post-coital?
Grips are too busy having sex in the grip truck.
Okay.
I think if he ate an apple, that
would have been better.
Or a cherry.
This is Wendy's office. I believe this was our last day in Connecticut, and this was some of the last footage we got. I could be making this up, but we had
hear
about
the grip truck crashing.
Yeah, no, I feel like we had about like 6 pages of Watson in her office, and we just said, screw it. We're running out of time. Let's lock the camera down. We're outside the window, and let's do them all from this one shot. Now, that said, I can't remember any other scene that we did from this shot, but I feel like there were several. Here we go. Ken Marino as Officer Russatelli. He's come back. The way this whole thing is staged is very much based on how I did the short. But this is this whole scene. It's really fun. It's full of some really good Ken Marino ad libs, like "This sicko calls you again," or he says later, "I like what you did with the house."
Well, he went to NYU, right?
He did. I think Wendy did too. NYU, the influence just can't be stopped.
And none of us knew any of these people while we were there, actually.
I was too busy gripping.
At NYU?
Yeah, gripping 101 really took up most of my...
That was Kazmierski, wasn't it?
What is the Arnold?
Scott, I take it you're not...
up, 2 stops
Had you
start.
ever gripped before? Is that what you...
No, I would always hold things and drop them, and they
But
showed
he
me how to
did
do
work as the main booker at Sequoia
Scott
in
and I
LA.
both worked at a lighting and grip house in Los Angeles.
Scott and I both worked at a lighting and grip house in LA.
We actually we were roommates, and we worked at the same office about 6 feet apart, and then the amount of I saw more Scott in those couple of years
Than anyone should have to see.
I love how Wendy looks there.
I love it too, and I have to say, one of the producers hates how she looks in this scene, but I think she looks damn good.
Well, it's funny.
Jennifer, loose ends?
Loose ends is my least favorite title card.
They misspelled it, for one.
Well, wasn't it corrected just before it ended? No?
I
This is
wasn't paying attention.
This is one of those Watson finishing her novel moments.
That's a
where
Volvo
it just
on
doesn't.
top of her
there-
computer.
in which is right. Do you see it right now? It's above my VCR. That little Volvo. I'll get donated by Connecticut's own Volvo.
Where is it?
Above the VCR, Scott. You're
Oh,
looking
I
at the
see it.
desk.
I see it.
You're
I'm
looking
looking
at
at
the desk.
For those
Look
of you
below
listening
the
to the
TV
commentary,
and
you
above
can't
the
actually
VCR.
see the VCR. We're
This
looking
is only
at.
viewable to those who are. That's a little station wagon. I heard that Volvo's coming out with an SUV, and I'm very sad.
My dad told you that.
Yes, he did.
Now, what does
Makes me very
SUV
young.
stand for?
Sports utility vehicle,
Now,
or
now the fellow.
4-wheel drive that you never drive.
Back to the
Okay.
movie.
Let me just say anything to any of the ladies who are still listening.
Hey, ladies!
Ponytails.
Ponytail.
Pigtails.
Pigtails.
Ponytails. There it is.
Big hot thing.
Okay, we got Chris, one of our PAs, playing the cashier. He's very funny in this scene. Catherine Miller, who plays Bagger Girl, I was really rooting and pressing to have her play Bagger Girl. She was Bagger Girl from the very beginning when I had staged readings of the screenplay.
Originally, you had Bagger Girl with a bag over her head.
I did, but we changed that concept.
Oh.
But she came into the audition, and I gotta say, just like she plays the scene here, she cried in the audition. And what do you say to that? I mean, my producers were blown away.
Job well done.
And they said, hell, let her play Bagger Girl. And that was it.
And everyone loved her.
And if I and it's maybe one of the only reasons I'm not going to go to hell when I die.
Did you see how her hair is not up in twisties?
Yeah, why is that?
She's distraught.
She is distraught. Jack has disappeared.
And this is also, can I just say, the scene that I'm in, because it was too late at night. We lost our extras. And the people were, I think the producers were looking towards the crew to play background extras.
Well, where are you?
So I'm not there yet. But when the camera pans over to the right, I am blurry walking towards the camera.
As what? Dressed in what?
I'm a cashier, I think. Or a bagger girl.
What do you see, Scott? You're pointing.
I think I saw Ike.
Ike again with the plant?
I
don't think that was Ike.
That's me.
That's Maya. Right
No.
behind Watson's head. And now she's gone. There she is.
Boy, am I
Woo!
blurry. I am blurry.
You
I'm
are
more
blurry.
in Focus in Bandits.
So
Watch out.
This is like 5 a.m.
Yes. This is 5 a.m. See how look at that. That's just beautiful. She's great as Bagger Girl. I can't believe that she isn't a huge movie star now after this film. This is beautiful. That's right. And Scott, there are just big HMIs outside those windows, right? Lighting it up.
Pumping a lot of...
Making it look like sun.
The electricians did that, but the stands that they're on, the grips set up, and damn, those stands are sturdy. Not a stand fell.
Two totally different unions. That.
Were there
we usually
unions
don't-
involved? Unions?
No.
Unions? No? Okay. We didn't mention...
Oh, wait. Actually, goes back to... I'm sorry to interrupt again, but she goes back here and she looks back, but she... Wait, she looks... Did you see that look?
Yes.
It usually gets laughs, but it's because she thought that the camera had stopped rolling.
Are you sure?
I'm totally positive.
Are you sure?
She looks back over because she thinks that the scene has ended.
I think Wendy's
And,
ass looks good in this scene, too.
Jesus, Jennifer.
Well, it's true. I'm a
We were
woman.
told
I notice
no
these
4-letter
things.
Words, 3-letter words.
That's a
are fine.
3-letter word. She looks great in those jeans. Let's just be open about it. This is a very exciting scene for me, and I'll tell you why. It's because it features my mailman at the time, Steve Mezzanotte. Maya, back me up here.
She's telling the truth.
Thank you. Steve Mezzanotte is the coolest guy, and he's a mailman. And he is the mailman for this area of Hamden, which is a little area called Spring Glen. And Steve had been involved, I swear to God, in 101 ways since the very beginning when I was casting the short. And he used to deliver truckloads of headshots from an ad I placed in backstage. And it just happened that he was right around this day, and we needed someone for Watson to interact with. And he was really cool, and we just sort of said last minute, hey, Steve, will you come down here and let Watson hug you? And he was into it. It was great.
Another nice day.
Another nice day. Watson cruising through the reservoirs on Waite Street. Little butterfly. I love that little butterfly that's off her rear view mirror there.
That comes standard, right, in the Volvo?
Yeah, it does. If you're a girl. If you're a guy, it's a bunch of fuzzy dice.
So this woman right here.
Diane Martella.
Thank you. This was our friend Gorman. This
is his favorite character,
his
right?
His favorite character
Gorman
in
Bechard.
the entire movie is this woman right here.
Writer, filmmaker, Gorman Bechard. A lot of people really like Diane in this scene. And she's great. I love this scene. And I have to say that I did, in this semi-autobiographical nature, after years of trying to kind of make my way in restaurants, I finally gave up and said, screw it. I'm going to try to get a job in a diner. Things seem to be simple. It works for me. And I think I worked at a diner for about 6 months, the Fairfield Diner at exit 24 off of I-95. And it's a simple life working in a diner. The money's not great, but it's pretty back to basics kind of stuff when you're a waiter. And you meet a lot of interesting people that come in and are your regulars.
This was a difficult shot.
Yes, it was. Notice now, suburban street, suburban street, suburban street. Now, I don't know if anyone in the script, she's really supposed to, her car is supposed to really be swerving all over the place. And even though we kind of put that in as sound effects, I don't know if that's obvious. And then she runs a stop sign.
No, and wasn't there something about the actual Hamden police? We were going to shoot some stuff in their headquarters, but because of this scene, they wouldn't let us do it. Because of this scene where... What do you mean, oh, really? You were there? When the... we were going to shoot some of his testimonials in the police station.
Right, the cop.
And because the cop asks her out on a date, they viewed that as being so inappropriate that they couldn't really...
Oh, really? I think that's producer stuff, Scott. Ike. I never heard about that.
Oh, no.
I heard about
I
that.
remember that he had to say that he would, when he was off duty, that then he could ask her out.
Really?
He couldn't ask her out
Where
while
was I
on
when
duty.
this
So
conversation was going
That
on?
wasn't already in the script.
it was in the script for him to say that when he gets off, that
Pretty
when
sure it was.
when he gets.
Well, all I can say is, one, we backed up traffic on Whitney Avenue because this was a very exciting shot, and we were right at the Sleeping Giant golf range, and we had cameras and lights and cops.
Right
and
near my
so
friend
people
Garrett's
were
house.
really slowing down. Is that right?
Sorry.
This was one of the last days of shooting.
This is absolutely one of the last days of shoot. But I think this is a great shot, and this two-shot is just so well acted, and the chemistry is so great between Wendy and Ken that we end up staying on this two-shot for most of the scene, even though we have coverage on both of them. It's just there's a lot of chemistry going on.
I think I learned on this shot that you could actually fall asleep in a sandbag cart.
Yes. In fact, I have one of the only Polaroids I have of this whole shoot is of you, Scott.
What?
Yes.
I got busted.
Yep.
I was working.
You were bored
I had a sandbag.
or something, but I think it's a very sweet scene. I have to say,
Is
I
that an
never get
actual
tired of
cop
seeing
car?
this. That is an actual Hamden Police Department cop car. Thank you to the Hamden Police.
School bus.
That's a real school bus going by real slow. That's I love that cut. I was all about that cut. When he talks about her eyes and how he can tell it's in her eyes. Very sweet. It still makes my heart throb a little bit, I have to say. It's very cute. The audiences really like this scene too. And then no, it's true. Scott,
No.
what are you
It was.
Then we go back to the
I'm
two
hearing the
shot.
Thai food.
Yeah.
No, This is a great scene.
Now in the deleted scenes, I actually show them getting ice cream at Wentworth's. It was a huge production. I think we went from this scene in the shoot to
They didn't give
Wentworth's.
us any free ice cream, did they?
I don't remember. Those are details.
I just remember getting fed falafel.
That was only one day on Chapel Street.
I think it was
This is so
served
cute.
again on the craft
Everyone,
table.
this is from the very beginning. You know, the officer was to tell you, he just asked her out for ice cream. It's so innocent, so lovely.
Don't you
Ken
originally
does
have
such
the
a great job
mailman
of it.
asking her out too, and that was
Well,
cut?
that'd be too many people sort of doing the same thing, asking her out for ice cream. You can only have so many people ask somebody out for ice cream and have it work.
There was a lot of swinging going on in Connecticut, right? It's a different film.
Swinging, Scott. Is that right?
Swinging? That's
Did
like-
you enjoy your time spending time there in New
There
Haven?
was the one cool thing about Connecticut is there's no one in the gym. They're all at the Denny's in front of the gym, but you can work out. You can work out. You get matinee prices at the movies.
The movie ends with Watson starting her car, which I've always really liked. Then we have the end titles here. I was very happy that we did these boxes to kind of showcase the talent that were in the film, because we had just so many great actors in our supporting cast.
I love
In
that.
fact, if all of you are like, hey, I recognize that actor, there is a website for the film, 101-ways.com. And you can go there and you can actually check out other films that the actors have been in and all kinds of fun, kooky stuff.
Sam Freed, former voice of
Sam Freed.
Bravo IFC.
Sam Freed. Beautiful, lovely man.
Wow, the
So go
movie's
to
over.
101-ways.com.
And that's also a fake mustache for
Designed
Sam
by
Freed.
my friend Kareem.
If anybody's really still listening, I'm surprised. But impressed.
Surprised.
Yeah, we'd like to thank
But
our family who is
impressed.
still listening.
This is where you actually
Yeah. Hi, Mom.
My
Hi,
name
Dad. Hi,
actually,
Grandma.
I think, comes up here.
Scott, name the grips and electricians before they come up.
There was a Woody. There was a and
Dave Cambria,
There's a-
right? He was
there
our
was a
keeper.
Brendan, I guess.
I remember Carl Doyle.
There's
Well,
a
now his name is
John.
on the screen,
There's
so you're gonna
John.
think I was cheating.
Carl
There's my
Doyle.
name. Oh, costume assistant.
Costume assistant, not
Jesus.
just costumer, but costume assistant.
Ugh.
This is now. There's a big list of special thanks coming up, but
There's also a lot of black at the end.
there's a lot of black at the end. Is there?
Yeah,
Legal.
it's true.
On the short, when
There's
I
a
made the
legal
short of 101 Ways, I was able to list absolutely everybody that had contributed, like even $10 to the film, and I wasn't given as much leeway in the credits of the feature. Yes, the cast. Maya.
I'm pointing at
In order of
the-
appearance.
No, I'm pointing at the list of interns. So Thea,
Oh, really?
Thea Workman.
Yes.
She's a great girl.
I also
Great
want to
girl.
say craft service is fine, even though he kept putting up Blair Witch wooden stick figures
There's
everywhere.
Ike's name as spy number 2. Spy number 2. There's special thanks. These are all the people that loan locations to us, or favors, or props, or crazy things like that, or places where people could piss when we weren't shooting.
The
Those
funny
are
thing,
important things. And very special. Right after special thanks comes, I think, very special thanks, and that's my very special thanks, which is a very important list of people. There it is. This is my list of people. That's my mom and my sister, Joan and Deborah Katz.
There's that infamous Christopher Joy.
Christopher Joy.
Whoever
Jill
that-
Bowerly, my roommate,
been mentioned.
at the apartment. Best video.
He has salt with his hand.
All kinds of things. And
David
really,
LaSala.
there is a different. There was another credit series where all of you guys were listed in my special thanks, but you were blocked out of my special
We sang
thanks.
some of the songs, though. I think.
There's a lot of songs here. There's a
We're
lot of
just gonna
songs
keep
here.
talking until the end, actually.
Well, I would just like to say that I don't think there's a better test for friendship than having good friends work on a feature film that you're directing. And Ike and Scott and Maya all worked on this feature film, and we are all still friends to this day.
Yay!
Yay.
God bless. God bless. God bless. Though, of course, there were a couple of years in there where none of us talked to each other, but we're all friends now, and here we are, and I think that's a very cool thing. What could be better said?
What a
Anyway,
fitting
thank
ending.
you for watching, and hope you enjoyed listening to our commentary. We got into a lot of trouble for this shot at
Yeah.
Tweed
FAA
Airport.
was all over us about this.
FAA, yes.
Don't run after planes.
Don't run after planes. Very dangerous. Do not do this at home.